All right, cool. So to jump right into it, thank you for taking the time, of course. But I guess my first question would be just to start us off, is there a specific film that kind of made it click for you that once you saw it, you're like, I know what I want to do with my life?
Oh God.
It's a tough
No,
one.
that didn't happen for me. I thought I was going to be a DJ.
Really?
So I was DJing in high school and just really loved that. And I did all the announcements and did specific broadcasts and was we had a big air band that we traveled all around New York and Buffalo and the Catskills and the Adirondacks playing all these things. We couldn't play an instrument, but boy, could we air band the shit out of everything, right? Uh, but it was crazy. We got so good and so famous that we were playing at like 2,000 and 3,000 people venues.
Wow.
We were called the Imposters. Yeah, it was really fun. So that's kind of where I thought I was going to be. So I went to a little radio and television school because my parents were willing to pay for my education, but I didn't want to kind of squander it. You know,
Yeah.
I know that we were kind of lower middle class. We didn't have a lot of money, so I wanted to make sure I knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to go off to some big ass university, which was costing thousands of dollars, and not know what I wanted to do. So it was a 2-year degree at a little community college. So it was radio and then television. And the first year did radio, loved it. Second year did television, loved that even more. Went back that summer, and my friend who had gone to USC was doing a short film back in our hometown. And I got to work on it. And I kind of got the film bug at that point. And I graduated from that small little school with a summa cum laude, top of the class, and then ended up getting like a 15,000 a year scholarship to go wherever I wanted.
Wow.
So then it was like, okay, my girlfriend went to Boston. I'm like, I'm going after her. You know, get me into the best film school in Boston. So I chased Lydia, who is, now my wife of 26 years, to Boston and got injected into the film program there, but hated cinematography. Didn't
Really?
have anything to do with it. I was going to be a producer because I was really good with people and I got a ton of people wrapped around stuff and making shit. So that's what I thought I was going to do. So I started pounding the pavement in Boston after I graduated, and nothing really, turned itself, doors slammed in your face kind of thing. So I thought, all right, let me start at the bottom where I had begun at an internship. So I started packing grip trucks, and I worked my way up at this small little rental company in Boston called FilmRiot. Now it's been bought by, I think, High Output Inc. And the same guy who ran FilmRiot and kind of hired me and brought me up the ladder, John Cini, still owns High Output in Boston. And I see him all the time, and he's like, "You're doing great, Shane. We love you, the Boston boy." But it's going to be great when I go back there because they're all coming to the event. So it'll be
That's
really
awesome.
fun to reconnect with all of them on the IE tour. But yeah, so I started working that and then realized that the only way I was going to get ahead in Boston is to kill the guy in front of me. So I didn't want to, a homicide on my record. So so I said, all right, I got to move out to LA where I know there's a much bigger landscape and more opportunities. So my wife, well, fiance and I moved out in the time, and I started again right back at the bottom working in a rental house. One of the producers saw me running around, and he was trying to make a deal with the rental company I was working for, and he walked up to me and he goes, would you like to leave here and work as a grip truck driver on this feature film? And I'm like, absolutely. And he goes, well, we can't pay that much. And I'm like, well, how much can you pay? They said, it's a 6-day week, average 18 to 20 hours a day, $350 a week.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, okay, what's that? 54 cents an hour? I'm in. So I hop on this feature, and it was like probably week 8. We're in this crematorium set, and I get a call on the radio. Oh, I need an 18 by 24 in here and a C stand. So I start running the thing in, and I'm heading down the stairs into the crematorium set, and this best boy that went to USC Film School and cinematography program, was working as a best boy, even kind of third electric when he started out, and he kind of stops me on the way down, and he goes, "Shane, would you be scared?" And I go, "Brian, what the hell are you talking about? I need to get this flag down to Terry as quick as possible." He goes, "Look, no," he goes, "would you be scared when you're in the theater? Every nook and cranny is lit. There's no shadow." It was like, bam! From that point on, everything I looked at was light. And I went from a grip truck driver to a gaffer in 3 years. And then from a gaffer to a cinematographer in 4 years. So that was kind of my epiphany. It didn't happen with a movie. It didn't happen with anything and then that just started to, then I met Herb Ritz, and we went on a 5-6 year run where I lit all his stills for 6 years and traveled all around the world. So I've had a really very interesting kind of journey, but not one that said, I'm going to be a cinematographer.
Yeah, that's amazing how just one thing led to the other. And it sounds like experience was your main education, just being on set and learning and doing it.
Exactly. I mean, I had a lot of good film theory classes at Emerson and kind of really created the foundation. And then I did my own research and kind of teaching myself those kind of things. But it was really understanding it, knowing that when you're down there at the working your way up, you just learn so many things. You learn the names of everything. You know how everything works. You know how to implement and really move fast, and that was a really big kind of advantage that I had, because I did start kind of at the bottom.
And I mean, with that idea, a lot of people are talking about film school and that film schools are slowly but surely becoming obsolete and that they're unneeded. What's your take? I did go to film school, but I mean, that was back before there's all the stuff like what you're doing and what's all over the internet. So what's your sort of take on that, or do you even have one about film school or not? Just jumping right into it with the information that's out there, or really diving into a solid school?
Yeah, I mean, I think school in general is absolutely essential. It's not so much that you're going to get a ton out of the film school program. You're going to work your way through, you're going to do your little projects and all this kind of stuff. What you're going to get is responsibility, and you're going to get living by yourself, and you're going to get being a good human being and just getting out there and not realizing that it's all you, and that there are people that you have to that now you're responsible for yourself, and it's not your parents always picking you up and dusting you off and moving you on. It's you got a credit card, you got the responsibilities, you got to go to class, you got to do the thing. There's not the parents always guiding you. This is a natural progression in being just a great human being.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the part of the process. It's very essential. Cutting that out is I think is not wise. So would I invest in like a incredibly expensive film program? Probably not. Would I go to one that has a lot of theory base? Absolutely. I mean, that's where you're getting your foundation, the why people are doing it, and then you'll eventually learn the how. I remember when I went to film school, all I wanted to do is get my hands on that gear. Give me that light. Oh, give me that camera. Give me all this stuff. I just want to touch it. I should have just really understood that it's studying the masters. It's understanding why this lens feels the way it did and why that director used it and all this stuff. It took a little more time for me to learn that, based on I was much more in the experience way. And now, with 18, 19 films underneath my belt, I'm really starting to hone this process in. But it wasn't anything that happened, kind of overnight. It's definitely, you need to get your foundation. You need to build that brick and mortar, whether it's through an arts program, whether it's through a photography side, and then moving on to, I mean, if I had to do it all over again and I had to pick one university that I would go to, I would probably go to the Brooks Institute. The Brooks Institute is a place where they teach photography and composition and lighting first. Then you go into motion. And then out of the motion, you have access to 4 sound stages that rival anything in Hollywood. You have access to 18Ks, Fisher Dollies, Arri Alexas, Reds, everything at your arsenal, because it's kind of all donated from the Hollywood area and as sponsors. And the place is insane. You have prop libraries, you have wardrobe, you have sets, you have all this stuff that's built on this massive backlot. So you get the theory with the practical, and that's, I think, a great scenario.
Yeah, I love that, and I actually completely agree with that too. So it's nice to hear you say it.
Yeah, no, you got to do the school thing. I mean, as much as I'm out there slinging this amazing lighting and cinematography tour. It's people are saying that they're learning more in 1 hour than they did all in 4 years of film school.
Right.
So, I guarantee you that's pretty right on. That's not an exaggeration, but I can't help you be a great human being and accept responsibility and all those things that you need to absolutely learn.
Yeah, that's how I felt about film school. I mean, I've learned everything that I know I've learned outside from like stuff like you do, but film school really forced me to be dedicated and learn that discipline.
Exactly.
So,
yeah. You're going to get in there and sink or swim, and you're going to fend for yourself, and you create partnerships with friends that you will last a lifetime if you really give it any energy.
Yeah, absolutely. But jumping, I guess, way ahead, your first film as DP was Skulls, right?
No, it was the Rat Pack.
But that was for HBO, right?
Yeah.
So your first theatrical was
theatrical feature was the Skulls. Yeah.
Was there much of a difference between the two, going for TV or going for theatrical?
Only the aspect ratio, really. It was the same director, so we really had a great kind of a collaboration together, and he wanted kind of the same look that I did for the Rat Pack with the Skulls.
Right.
So I was able to take all that information that I had and turn it into, trying to come up with like the cool shots and the way to tell the story the best and the emotion and all those kind of things. So, yeah, it was very fun. I mean, that movie, I love. Every once in a while, I'll be surfing channels and that damn thing comes up, and I check it out.
That's awesome. So with the Rat Pack being your first actual feature, what did that feel like, jumping into your first big thing? How intimidating was that for you?
Not so much. I think I would have been more intimidated knowing the stakes that were kind of pushed on me that I didn't find out only till after the project was over. But no, it was, I knew I had to deliver. I knew I had, but I had an arsenal of, I had an amazing crew that had kind of supported me on all the commercials and music videos, and I brought them on board with me. I had all my contacts at Panavision and the Techno Cranes and all the gear to really take this something that didn't have a very large budget and really make it better from a production value standpoint. So,
and that was, of course, film, which most of your catalog is film, I assume. But lately, you've been switching pretty much entirely over to digital. Do you ever see yourself shooting film again, or you just see digital from here on out?
No, I think I would shoot. I would do a hybrid, I think. There's no reason to go back to film for any night work. For me, I don't think it makes any sense. So I would, when I was slated to do Heist with DreamWorks, and then Tom Cruise ended up going to MI5, so that movie went into turnaround. I was going to shoot film for 70% of it, and 30% was going to be the C500 for all the night stuff. So it's like I'm really big on the hybrid process. I think it's It's something that I've done, starting back to Valor, where I shot, on 4 or 5 different formats, and I continued that on Need for Speed, and I think it's a it's the best recipe because it's kind of exploiting every camera's best feature,
Yeah.
and using it to its advantage.
Which brings up another question that I see asked a lot, especially newbie filmmakers. It's like, how do you choose the right camera for the project? Because I'm less about gear and more about what the gear will give you, which I feel like you are as well. So in prepping for the film, like, how do you decide what camera you're going to go with for that film? And on top of that, what does the prep look like for you for any given film?
Well, if you take Need for Speed for an example, that I really wanted to find that film's soul, because we wanted to go with something that was a unique look. We wanted it to be as real as possible. And we wanted to find that camera that delivered reality. And because Scotty wanted all the real stunts and the real actors in the seat driving, and as much of this, no CGI was kind of our mission, right? He came from the stunt background, so he wanted it to feel legit. He didn't want to be creating CGI cars that fly through the air unrealistically and everything, and do like a Fast and the Furious where the C-130 crashes down and the car shoots out the nose of it. I mean,
Right, yeah.
it was based in reality, right?
Yeah.
So finding that sensor that would do that was, a challenge for all of us. And we did 9 different formats, and we tested them all, and we sat in the theater on a 40-foot screen, and we chose the C500, the Arri Alexa, the 1DC, and the GoPro. Those were the 4 that we felt would help tell the story the most unique and the most realistic. When we slated to do Active Valor, I thought, the 5D was really the only way to get inside the eyes of the Navy SEALs. So the story kind of tells you what is the right tool to shoot. And I just kind of go with that as much as possible. I see what's out there, and then I kind of take what does the best things for these specific applications. I knew that the 5D would move very quickly. We could have 17 or 18 of them, and it wouldn't break the bank. If we blew 4 of them up, we would go to Best Buy and replace them. It's this. If I only had 5 people to go on a sub, I couldn't bring a Panavision package. It's like all the budget, the physical limitations of where you can be, all these things start to tell you exactly what you're going to use. When I did Fathers and Daughters, I'm prepping that movie, and we're shooting the movie, 80% of it on the Movi.
Wow.
Well, what cinematic camera can be put on the Movi? You have the red, and you have the red, and you have the C500. I mean, there's really nothing else you can put on that thing, right? So at the time, we didn't have the M15, so it was only the M10. So I knew if I did go with the Red Epic, I couldn't fly any cinema glass. I had to fly either still glass or glass that I didn't want to fly. So the C500 mixed with the Cook S4 Primes, just trimmed out at about 17 pounds, just enough under the M10's limit. And so that the camera motion and what the director wanted for the vision told us exactly what to use, because there weren't any other options, right?
Yeah. That's awesome.
You find your way with the story and with the budget and with your limitations. It's on Need for Speed, we had limitations in regards to size. Well, we knew we couldn't be mounting any of these hard mount cameras with Arri Alexas or anything. I put an Arri M on a hard mount, and it shook the sensor so much it just destroyed it. So we sent that thing back. So, it was like, okay, that camera can't handle this stuff. All right, let's put the C500 in there. Oh shit, we can blow that damn thing up and it still works. So okay, that becomes our hard mount camera, So it was just, it works itself out.
That's awesome. Yeah, and during the prep, when you're combing through the script, do you kind of like look at the scenes and envision what you want to do lighting wise beforehand, or do you wait till you step on set and see where you are and then go from there.
No, and this is what this kind of illumination experience cinematography tour is kind of all about. It shows you the process,
Yeah.
from discovery to creation to execution, and that's kind of the process that I go through. So it's meeting with the director. It's kind of getting his ideas and what he wants the film to feel like and the tone. And then out of that, you find your inspiration. I go to still photography, so I show people how I go to still photography and look for inspiration and how the tone and the mood and kind of the composition and all that kind of stuff could be. And then out of that, you kind of start to design your visual landscape. And I do what I call an emotional breakdown.
Yeah.
And the emotional breakdown is you take each character and you assign a camera emotion to each character and a lighting emotion. So, for example, let's say Fathers and Daughters that I did, Amanda Seyfried's character she had no foundation. She didn't have any brick and mortar. It was like her foundation was sand. So what camera motion will give you that? So we thought, okay, let's think about handheld, right? Well, that could be a little raw and a little unnerving, kind of wrong thing to say. Steadicam. Well, it's kind of floaty and it's definitely a language we've seen. What about the Movi? It's not handheld. It's not a Steadicam. It's somewhere in the middle. It has a whole new kind of energy to it. So that became Amanda's camera emotion. And then out of that, you start to dive into the emotion of what the scene is talking about, and then you assign lighting emotion to all that. And it's lighting things in different ways to create an impact. There's a sequence on the tour where I ask people to think. I don't talk at people for 12 or 10 hours. I'm asking them to think. I'm asking them to weigh in on decisions and to give me their points of view. And it's very interactive and immersive, and people are always up and doing stuff. And it's a really, I've been developing this curriculum for over 2 years now, and the proof is in the pudding, and I'll tell you exactly why. So in Dallas, we had a complete newbie, never had put his hand on a camera before.
Wow.
And he showed up because his wife was into photography. And he had made his money, I think, like some t-shirt company or something.
Right.
And he'd kind of retired, and this was his new passion. So he shows up and he does the workshop and the master class in Dallas. Then he comes to Fort Lauderdale and he does it all over again. When it came his turn on the camera, when I did Dallas, he goes, "What should I be doing?" I said, "All you're going to do is grip." I go, "I want you to figure out how to move the camera, and I want you to figure out how to control and shape light. It's the two most important things that a cinematographer needs to know." And he goes, "Got it." That's all he did all day. He didn't want to be a camera person. He didn't want to be electric. He just did grip. So he comes to the Fort Lauderdale one, and his name's called, and he gets to be the director of photography. And you should have seen that dude. He's like, "All right, I want a 24 millimeter lens right here. We're going to dolly from left to right. Give me 20 feet of track. All right, I need a Chimera put up over that corner there. Bring that down. I want the president up against the wall." It's like, holy shit. And it's like, it was so awe-inspiring to see that, right? And he's like, "Are you kidding me? This is like, I'm coming to LA. So he's going to come to LA and do a third time. And he wants to do, a different set this time, and with different types. But it was so cool to see that the curriculum it works so well.
Yeah.
You build these foundations and you build the fundamentals, and people start to understand these subtle nuances, and he's making these subtle nuances and he gets it all up there. And I'm like, all right, Mark, how about we turn off this light? Boosh. And it's like the mood was like perfect. He goes, okay. It's just like, it's like that kind of thing. That's what the master class is all about. It's each individual director of photography. It's they drive the whole energy of the course. They're I let them fail, and then I catch them and put them back on the track and guide them and try to challenge them out of their comfort zone. And it's so funny because they learn, okay, first we set the camera, then we send this, then we send that, right?
Yeah.
And first time, okay, all right, John, you're up, the director of photography. And he just starts, okay, I want a light here, light there, light here, light here, light here. I'm like, whoa, what about the camera, man? We got to set the lens, right? First things first. He goes, oh yeah, it's like they go right back into what they've always done, you know. And you're constantly like, okay, let's push you out of what you've always done before. And he had like 15 lights on this set, and I'm like, let's call it KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. I think you got 14 too many. Okay.
That's awesome. And like you said, like this illumination tour, you've been working on the curriculum for 2 years, you said. So that is a lot of work, which brings me to the why of it all, which it's amazing. It almost feels like a mentorship in very small bursts, which is incredible because stuff like this never really existed before. It's so hard to get this sort of hands-on learning. So what's the motivation behind this for you?
Well, as an artist, you're always challenging yourself, right?
Yeah.
You're always trying to do things different, and I had been on this kind of action run where I was always blowing something up or flipping something over and doing all this stuff, and I'd kind of gotten off the path of what I love to do is drama. That's where I started. I kind of love even thrillers. There's a dramatic sense of it. It's not just action, and that's that's what I'm born to shoot.
Yeah.
So when Fathers and Daughters came along, and I had just the most incredible experience. Russell Crowe, I would say, is in the top 5 actors in the world right now. The whole cast was 5 Academy Award winners and 4 nominees. I mean, it was just, it was one of those experiences where you say, okay, I'm quenched this year. Let me take some time with the family. Let's, me be around more because I'm usually always gone. And with me being around more, Lydia's like, well, the Hurlblog is doing well. What if we really took it up a notch? And I'm like, what are you talking about? She goes, well, what if we do a membership based? And I'm like, whoa, okay. What do we call it? Or bouncing names all around. I was all into Illuminati until I found out that they, sacrifice humans. So that wasn't good. So we said, all right, well, people always call me by my first name. Let's call it the Inner Circle. And say that it's this very intimate experience, because that's what everyone kept on asking for, more intimacy, more hands-on, more being able to have access to me. So we created this Inner Circle, and out of that, we were like, okay, well, I don't want to take another movie this year, and because I've done that, and I want to stay around with the family. So, what can we do? And Lydia's like, well, if we're going to educate, this is the only time we're going to have to do it. So let's take this time right now. Let's launch this fall tour. I think now, hindsight being 2020, I think we should have just stabbed each other all right then. No, just kidding. Oh, it's been very fun. It's awesome. I mean, I love going out and the comments that you get back, and the people thank you when you're there. Like, they walk in, thank you so much for being here and coming to us. And then they thank you, at lunchtime, and then they thank you at the end. I mean,
Yeah.
they understand that I could be doing anything I really want right now. I turned down 5 or 6 features because they just weren't what I wanted to shoot. It was more action, it was tons of CGI, it was witch hunters and all this stuff. And I just want to kind of steer my career back into another the direction of where it started. And so I thought, with the Inner Circle launch, this is prime time to be able to also get it out there to people with the Illumination experience, because you get 4 months free membership. And I didn't want to. Everyone told me this is a $50 to $90 value. You got to charge, Shane. You're all of us with this $7.95, and I'm like, guys, help me out here. Do you understand the time that it takes for me to do all this? I logged like 800 hours to build that, and it's got content just to January.
Yeah.
800 hours is a lot of time. So I want it to the point where it's continues the Hurlblog philosophy and Hurlbut visuals, which is giving back, trying to make things absolutely affordable, being the lighthouse, the beacon to kind of guide young filmmakers.
Yeah.
And that's what the Illumination Tour is about as well. We offer scholarship programs. We offer 2 at every event. You sign up, you send all your information in, we go through it. I mean, whoever offers that? I mean, we're offering free, full-on workshop, masterclass scholarships to everyone who wants to apply.
Yeah.
You didn't see that on all the other tours people were doing.
Yeah.
This is who we are,
That's
right?
awesome.
We're here to make a little money, obviously, and hopes a little more money, so we can continue to take the time and do the mentoring and having this one-on-one and being so intimate with all of these filmmakers all over the world. So these things come hand in hand.
Yeah, it has to be an insane amount of work. So it's pretty awesome that you're taking the time to do it, especially the tour. That's got to be exhausting.
Oh my God, the crew is just like, the other day, Larry was in there and I go, hey guys, I want to give a round of applause for all my crew, but also Larry, because he stayed up for 42 hours to be able to drive the sets here today and be able to deploy them. So, and he stands up and everyone's like giving him, thing. And, I usually fire 5 to 6 of them every day. So it's always good. No one's safe. But, they're rehired immediately.
That's a good way to roll right there.
Yeah. I think Matt's been fired 27 times.
Awesome. I just have a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go. I don't want to take up too much of your time. But a few things that I'm always really interested in, especially, again, going back to new filmmakers, a lot of things seem extremely mysterious. There's just not that much info out there until now with the stuff that you guys are doing. But one thing that people are constantly asking me, and I'm even curious about, is what does the relationship between a cinematographer and a director look like? Because on the very low end, like with, there's a lot of online filmmaking right now. It's usually, the director is everything else too, which is not, optimum, but that's usually what you have to do. So after a while, you move into actually working with an experienced cinematographer, and a lot of directors don't know exactly how to work that relationship. So is there any tips that you could give for new directors that are going to be working with a cinematographer for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think come in with a point of view. You want to have a point of view. You want to, and you'll know that person and how you guide and kind of be able to show him your point of view and show him examples and see what he's responding to. Show him scrap reference material, still photography, everything to kind of, some people will tell you exactly what they want. Some people can't really put a handle on it, some directors, and then you start showing it to them and they know exactly, oh yes, this, oh no, I don't like that. And then you start to understand the shooting style and how they want to roll out. I mean, on Fathers and Daughters, Gabriel Muccino embedded the shot list into the script. I mean, how awesome is that? Right? I mean, every department head, everyone that's on the movie is getting the script. Russell Crowe, when he's reading it, he's knowing exactly what his coverage is when he walks into the room.
Right.
And that's immersive. That's making movies.
That's awesome.
Right? And then I shadow that with what I call the look. So every scene, you know, when you're going to walk on the set, it's going to either be lit blue, it's going to be gold, it's going to be this, it's going to be white, it's going to be moody, it's going to be, you know, all these different things I do in a, you know, paragraph description on every scene, what the camera's going to feel like, what the light is going to feel like. So mixed with the shot list and this, the production design knows that I'm going to light this gold, so he's not going to paint the walls gold because it's going to be too much. You know, it's like everyone starts to pool off of these documents, and one person is making a movie with hundreds of people instead of hundreds of people making their own movie.
Right.
Right. And that's what you find a lot of times you get on those films, you know, wardrobe's making their own movie, production design's making their own movie, everyone's making their own movie, and then we all get together and we try to make it, you know, happen. Right. Where I really felt Gabriel Muccino really united everyone. And, you know, Bill Paxton was another one on The Greatest Game. Everyone was infused in understanding exactly how this film was going to look and feel. And then you can all fire on 12 cylinders, let's say.
That's awesome. What about storyboards? How often do you use those? Or what do you feel? How do you feel about those?
Well, action sequences are very important to do storyboards because you got to break it all down and put it in shooting order, and that way all departments know exactly what's going on. But you know, fathers and daughters, dramas, you don't storyboard that stuff. You know, you shot list it, you plan it out. In regards to that, I mean, shot lists I do much more than storyboards. Those are kind of a wonderful surprise if they have the money for it and the time to put into it, because it's an expensive process.
Yeah.
You know, you got somebody on 6, 8, 10 weeks and revision after revision, shaping it and everything. And, you know, I mean, something like the Coen brothers, they storyboard everything they do. And, you know, their films are absolutely awesome. That's their way they go about it. Most of the directors I work with, if we're doing action sequence, we'll storyboard it. If we're doing just normal scenes, it's just we block it and we shot list it in our head what it's going to be like.
Right, that's great. And three quick questions. Favorite focal length? Do you have one?
I'd say a 27 millimeter.
27. Favorite filter for the lens?
Well, neutral density, water white neutral density is really my filter of choice, getting that depth of field way down. If there was a diffusion filter, I'm really liking the new black satins now, and digital diffusion. So, yeah, I would say that.
And do you have a favorite light?
A favorite light?
Or even just quality of, like, what you get from a Kino book light, something like that?
Yeah, I'd have to say I'm a big booklight fan. I love that. Lights take me a little while to kind of fall in love with, right? So what I've used in the past, like I think one of my favorite lighting units is probably a stage Leica, like a Source 4 Leica, because there's not much that damn thing can't do. It's like having a grip in the light. You can shape it, you can top it, you can move it, you can just bounce a small area. It has a lot of punch. You can easily gel it. So that's a tour de force as a light. In the LED category, it's taken me a while to really embrace the new LED technology because I think it's been all over the map and people just jumped on the bandwagon and the color looks false. But I have to say, KinoFlow has been a leader in this LED technology in the Celeb 200, the Celeb 400. I started using those for the first time on Fathers and Daughters, and I ended up having like 6 400s and 8 200s and lit most of the movie with those.
Wow.
That and my, Home Depot lights, my practical batten lights that I make, the crew come in, and I think I got up to almost a mile of batten lights. We were measuring it up today, and I think it was at 3,900 feet of batten that are Revolution Cinema Rental's attic.
Dear God, I'd love to see a picture of that.
Stacks and stacks and racks of them,
Racks and racks.
Every movie.
That's awesome. And last question, which we kind of covered a little bit, but what can people expect from the illumination class if they were to attend?
The illumination experience is really understanding cinematography at its core. It's the why you do things, and then we go into how. It's understanding just subtle lighting and subtle lens camera tweaks to take something that would look kind of ordinary and make it extraordinary. It's really immersive. It's very hands-on. The I've purposely kept the class sizes fairly small. I'm not doing 100 and 150. How do you learn in that class?
Yeah.
How do you do it? I was working with the producer, and he's like, this workshop's got to be huge. We got to have hundreds. And I'm like, dude, how do I reach out and touch people with that? I want them to be getting an experience like, no other. And I'm only going to do this once. So we've kept the class sizes small, so they're very intimate, and they don't ever stay at their seats. They're up, they're moving stuff around. They're grabbing flags. I'm sending them in the back and telling each people how to label lights, and they're picking their own lenses, and it's really. There's nothing like it out there, and what you're going to take away is like what many people have said. It's like a 4-year film degree in an hour.
That's amazing.
You're in there. It's not just about lighting. It's the art of cinematography. It's filmmaking in general. Directors. This woman came up to me yesterday, and she goes, "I have gotten so much out of this class. I never thought that I'm supposed to be telling director of photographies to think through emotion and how this. I mean, you just blew my mind with the first hour when you started to go into all this stuff. I just thought I was supposed to get the right performance out of the actors and cover it with camera, but you're doing these subtle nuances that's taking my story in a whole new level." And I'm like, yeah, that's so. Everyone's benefiting from this, not just people that want to be cinematographers, the directors. I have writers there because they're starting to learn the language of light and learn the language of cinema. So now they can write that into their script. I mean, that's a powerful thing to do. And what I find, more scripts are much more visually based now. People are starting to see it. They came not knowing that it was the right move. And then she said within the first 30 minutes, she was like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad I came." And that's what I think from a standpoint why we're getting even more and more people coming is they're starting to understand, oh my God, this is not just lighting. This is the art of just filmmaking in general. It's storytelling. It's storytelling because you tell stories with the lens, you tell stories with the performance, and we're getting really good actors to play in these scenes. So it's not like I'm ripping people out of the audience and saying, okay, emote on the scene. We send all the videos out to all our actors, and they rehearse them, and they come in and they got the lines nailed, so it feels just like a movie set. When you take the master class, I send you all the scripts so you can break them down that night and start to formulate your plans of how you would shoot it and what camera emotion and what lighting emotion. And then you're given still frames of what the exterior looks like. And then they have to be able to make the interior feel like it's some motivation from the outside is coming inside. I mean, it's so cool. I mean, when you start to see everything that we've put into this process and trying to set it up for bringing Hollywood to all these cities.
Yeah,
because that's really what we're doing.
Yeah, and it sounds like just the fact that for somebody who's never experienced it, to be able to see what it's like to be on a real set, that's just worth it there alone. That way it's not so intimidating to step on a set to hear all the terminology and how it operates.
Yeah. And, people are standing back and I'm running around and I'm doing these manipulations and they're like, what is he doing? And then they always say, they look at him and they say, oh, this is unbelievable. Look how great that looks. What is he still doing? Oh my God, it's even better. What's he doing now? Jesus Christ. It's like at the point where they thought it never could get better. Like they
Right.
were happy with it. And I am still making these things. And they're like, it's like a mad scientist running around. And, the lens, lower another inch, and I'm over here and then back that up again. You're too tight, and at the same time as I'm like, we need a double over here. And, we're clipping this shit on and everything. It's fun. I mean, I love doing it because you start to see the wheels turning in their heads, and then you get those comments and the thank yous, and it makes it all worthwhile.
That's awesome, man. Well, thanks for doing it. I will definitely be at one of the classes coming here.
You're
pretty
coming to
soon.
Chicago, aren't you?
Yep, I'll be there in Chicago to watch the mad scientist at work. So again, thank you very much for doing this. I can't wait to put this episode out. I think people are going to love it.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ryan.
Thank you.